What if your earbuds could mute a crowded room like a sci-fi force field, translate a stranger in real time, and tell you when your heart's hammering, all while lasting long enough to cross an ocean? That's the AirPods Pro 3, and spoiler alert, these are really good. After spending about a week with them at Apple Park, on planes, at home, and around town, the biggest surprise for me is what you don't hear. I'm gonna break down what actually matters, but first I teamed up with Craft Docs to give away an iPhone 17 Pro Max or iPhone Air, as well as 2 pairs of these AirPods Pro 3. Check the details down in the description or in my iPadOS 26 video. So let's talk noise cancellation, because this is where Apple is straight up flexing. Officially, AirPods Pro 3 block twice as much noise as last year's model and 4 times as much as the OG Pros and current AirPods 4. But what does that actually sound like? Here's the real world test. Sitting at a table with a few other people with one person talking, I flipped on ANC and the entire room went silent. I could still see the lips moving, but the sound was gone. It almost looked fake, like the person speaking was pretending not to be using their voice the moment I switched on active noise cancellation. On my flight home, these actually took the edge off the engine noise, like not distant hum better, but I almost felt like I was in some sort of void better. The difference compared to the Pro 2s is obvious, and that's something I didn't expect because I think the Pro 2 are so good. I like them more than my AirPods Max. I couldn't even hear the cabin announcements with the ANC turned on with the AirPods Pro 3. How is Apple doing this? They switched to new ultra low noise microphones and also these foam infused ear tips for a way tighter seal. You'll feel it right away. Put them in and the outside world just kind of melts away. That tighter fit means the H2 chip's algorithm can do its thing, working in the background to keep the chaos out and the music in. And yes, the AirPods Pro 3 are still using that H2 chip that debuted in the AirPods Pro 2. They're just getting a lot more out of the H2 with the Pro 3. But the part that may have been even more surprising is transparency mode. Now, on most earbuds, transparency just means tinny robot voices. Apple has led the way on transparency in earbuds for years, in my opinion. So this is another area that I just thought was already great and couldn't really get much better. On these, when you start talking or someone tries to get your attention, you actually just sound like yourself. Conversations sound genuinely like you aren't wearing AirPods at all. Plus, adaptive audio and conversation awareness now blend what you need to hear and mute the rest in real time. Basically, they're finally getting smart about what you don't want to miss without having to mess with any settings. And you can hear all these things immediately. And if you fly, commute on public transit, or just hate background noise, this right here is the upgrade. But what if your earbuds could also help you communicate no matter where you are? This is where the new live translation feature comes in. And I'll be real, I know it sounds like science fiction, not just when Apple does it, when anyone does it. Someone starts talking to you in a supported language and your AirPods just translate the conversation in your ear in real time. Like you're in a cafe in Paris and someone's firing off in French and you hear English in your ears. Meanwhile, your iPhone shows you their words already translated. Now here's what's wild. It's not just translating word by word, like those old clunky translators that end up making everyone seem like they have the vocabulary or sentence structure of a toddler. Live translation understands phrases and gives those to you instead. Now, this isn't really something I got to try in the real world, since my fiance speaks 2 foreign languages, Russian and Arabic, but neither of those are supported at launch. So instead, I had her speak to me in English and pretended that I needed the Spanish translation. And again, it worked great. However, at Apple Park, I had someone speaking to me in Portuguese and it worked really well there too. Now, the one thing that does stand out to me is that there is a small delay between what the person says and what you hear in your ears. And again, that's likely because it wants to translate the entire phrase, so it needs to wait until the end of the sentence to get the full context to do so. Now you can trigger this feature in a bunch of ways. You can ask Siri to turn on translation. You can squeeze both AirPods Pro stems at the same time, or you can manually just go into the Translate app. It even runs on device if you don't have cell service, which is super useful for travel. Oh, and if both people are rocking AirPods that support this feature, those being the Pro 2, Pro 3, and AirPods 4, it gets even cleaner. Noise cancellation cuts out the background, and the two of you are just speaking to each other back and forth in your own native tongue while also hearing the conversation in your own native tongue. Now, are you gonna use this every day? I assume probably not. Most of us hang out with people we can already understand. But that one time you're traveling and you actually need it, or when you meet someone visiting who doesn't speak your language, suddenly this is gonna feel like magic. And hey, maybe tech like this will make it more natural to talk to anyone, regardless of the language they speak, eventually making it feel normal. I mean, AirPods are basically everywhere, so this could actually push people to use it way more than any previous translation gadget. For now, it supports English from the US and UK, French, German, Brazilian Portuguese, and Spanish, with more languages on the way. But the tech is already impressive. But Apple isn't stopping at language. They're also going after your health. You see, AirPods Pro 3 now track your heart rate directly from your ears. Apple says it's their smallest heart rate sensor ever, firing off invisible infrared light like 256 times per second. They're combining that with motion sensors while reading your pulse, regardless of your skin tone, lighting, or how bouncy your workout gets. Now, I tested this while walking outside and through airports, and it closely matched up to the Apple Watch Ultra on my wrist. Now, you start a workout, and there are over 50 types built into the workout app that support AirPods, and then the AirPods log your heart rate and your calories burned, and even puts the numbers to your Apple Watch rings and your step count. And if you don't own an Apple Watch, that's fine too, as fitness tracking works without one. AirPods Pro 3 also have an IP57 rating, which means they're dust, sweat, and rain proof. Now, I wouldn't dunk them in a puddle, but a long, sweaty workout won't faze them. So, if you use AirPods during workouts, or you don't wear an Apple Watch and just want to track your heart rate anyway, this is another nice upgrade. And if you don't, it's one of those features you can easily ignore. But again, if you're just going for a walk, might as well track it. So the fitness upgrade is real. But what about battery life? Can these things keep up with everything Apple has crammed in to the new model? This is where the Pro 3s pull off a move that's actually useful in the real world. See, on paper, it's 8 hours with active noise cancellation turned on. That is up from 6 hours from the previous generation, which, trust me, I know, you notice on a long haul flight or when taking back-to-back calls, which use even more battery. Even with all the new tracking and features, I hit almost a full workday before I needed to even think about putting them back in the case to charge. And this is the first time I've ever been able to fly from Seattle to New York and not have my AirPods Pro die when getting close to the destination. And if you ever do get hit with the, oh man, they're dead moment before a workout, 5 minutes in the case gets you about an hour of playback. Apple has also quietly leveled up their hearing health suite. You get a more forgiving hearing test, a hearing aid mode that just works with conversation boost automatically jumping in when you need it, and real-time hearing protection, which I love using at concerts. So if you're in a noisy environment, you get less of the bad, more of the good, and your ears don't pay for it later. But here's where things get a little controversial. Let's talk about this case itself, because this is where Apple made a decision that honestly is going to split opinions. A minute ago, I mentioned that the AirPods Pro 3 lasts longer. Well, the trade-off is the case itself now gives you 24 hours total playback with ANC, down from 30 hours on the previous model. That's definitely a step back. But for most, the jump in single session battery is going to be the win. How often do you really burn through 24 hours of playback on your AirPods before you hit a charger anyway, right? I don't know that I'd want to have them in my ears for over 8 hours, so I do prioritize that over the battery of the case. But losing 6 hours does also feel pretty substantial. Another area where things did get improved though is with precision finding. Apple added in a next-gen ultra-wideband chip that expands the range by about 1.5x over the previous case when used with an iPhone 17 or iPhone Air. So if you ever lose your AirPods case in the couch, at the gym, or just anywhere it shouldn't be, your iPhone basically turns into a radar guiding you right to them, even if you're across the house. So yeah, you lose a few hours in the case, but you gain longer sessions and way smarter tracking. So what's it like living with these day to day? The fit is noticeably more secure. Those new foam infused ear tips and the extra small and extra small sizes finally mean people with tricky ears aren't stuck fighting gravity. I took calls while walking, I jumped around, I shook my head like an idiot, and the AirPods didn't leave my ears. Now, of course, everyone's ears are different, so I can just speak from my own experience. That seal, though, is everything. Comfort, sure, but it's also how you get the max noise cancellation and the sound quality you actually paid for. The sweat and dust resistance means you can take these through a workout, a summer walk, or even get caught in the rain, and you don't need to baby them. And there's one other trick that genuinely surprised me, and it also works on AirPods Pro 2 and AirPods 4 when running iOS 26 or later, and it's called Camera Remote. Enable it in settings, and then you can squeeze the stem while your iPhone camera app is open, and that allows you to snap a photo or start a video on your iPhone from across the room. It's super cool for group shots or those times you want to capture a moment without running back and forth. And yes, when taking photos, it does give you a 3-second countdown timer. It's not just going to take the photo immediately with your hand up to your ear in all your shots. So who's this upgrade actually for? If you're on AirPods Pro 2, ask yourself this: how much do you care about noise? The jump to 2x better cancellation is legit, and you'll feel it the second you put these in. The new heart rate tracking and those marathon single session battery numbers, those are genuinely useful if you're into fitness or if you just want to stop worrying about recharging every few hours like I did. But if you barely use ANC or you're not interested in the new health tricks, your AirPods Pro 2s still hold up. But if you're rocking the original AirPods Pro, it's night and day. We're talking 4 times the noise cancellation, a fit that actually stays, hours more battery, and features you just can't get with the OGs. It's an upgrade you hear right away. And honestly, if you've ever only used regular AirPods, this isn't even in the same league. It's like switching from earbuds on an airplane to a private listening booth. I give these my absolute highest recommendation. And to reiterate, maybe it seems strange, but I like these even more than my AirPods Max, including when on a plane. So if you're someone who wants silence on demand, fitness tracking without the wristband, or just a little bit of sci-fi in your pocket, this is the set to beat. Now, don't forget, we're giving away a new iPhone 17 Pro Max or iPhone Air, along with 2 pairs of these AirPods Pro 3. The details are down in the description below. Thanks for watching as always, guys. I appreciate your support. I'm Andru, and I will catch you in the next video.